everybody. I'm Doc Martin. We're on Maximum Medicine Radio. And I'm joined today by Veronica Drake, who goes by V. And I love to hear from people who have her kind of talent. She is, and I'll have her tell you more herself, she's a psychic medium. And because of that, she's able to tap into imprints in your energy field, things from your past, stuff that really plays a role in the here and now that we might not think does. So Veronica, welcome.
Hi, I am so excited and honored to be here. I love what you're about and what you do in the world. So thank you for having me.
I think it's going to be fun because you've got an interesting window into the workings of the world. So tell me, I want to hear the basics about how you stepped into your talent. When did you first know that you were psychic? When did you take that and streamline it to be a psychic medium? Well, really, what even does that mean?
Yeah, a lot of questions. Well, my story starts October 2nd, 1962. So I'm seasoned, as they'll say. I'm very proud of that start year too. So I had no inkling of any of this. I was born, I like to refer to it at the intersection of mental illness and alcoholism. I was the product of two people who tried very hard to create much stability, but it just wasn't in the cards, so to speak. And I grew up very isolated. And as a result, I got very creative. I had my brother who was also there, but we were very different. It was about age 25, my grandfather, who had raised me with my grandmother, partly, passed away very suddenly. We knew he was ill, but it happened very suddenly. And I was devastated. I was 6 months pregnant. I was hysterical, crying, and he came to me. And as sure as I'm sitting here, I was sitting on my couch in March of 1987 and sobbing hysterically. And I saw him. I blinked. I did a few times. I blinked, and he was standing there and presented as he looked in his 20s with his army uniform on. Of course, I didn't know him at that time. And he said to me words of comfort to the effect that, I'm okay, take care of your grandmother and take care of that little boy within you. I did not know I was having a boy in 1987. We didn't really know those things ahead of time, but sure enough, a few months later, I gave birth to my healthy baby boy. That was my first adventure with it. And it was a seeing, but I don't think anyone else in the room could have seen it. It was in my mind's eye. So it's very difficult to explain this, but I knew he was there. My body reacted. I got tingles, I got chills, and I instantly stopped crying. So it was more of a feeling for me. And that just continued on and on and on. 1996 was my angelic encounter. I was about to take my life. Life had gotten out of hand, or so I thought. And I was about to crash my car. And it was November 1996. And I was careening and screaming a few choice words at whatever the creator was. I wasn't raised with God or any belief in religion. And I felt my car fill up with this incredible warmth. I squeezed my shoulders together to make room, and I heard, "We've got you." And the warmth, I was sweating, my foot was pulled off the accelerator. And from that moment on, I've been open to what's next. I've never really sought it out. It's kind of sought me, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. One thing you said, and I think for me, it's maybe an interesting and important topic. You said you were raised in an environment of mental illness and alcoholism. I was raised with a bipolar alcoholic mother and a father who had a lot of underlying anger. And many times when we get older, I've watched this in other people, we're like, how did this happen? How could I have been put in that place? You know, that's so terrible. Look what happened. It's not a fun thing, and we don't like to own it. But I've also seen, and this is what I want you to tell me, how you feel about it and what you've seen in others. Out of that kind of drama, I sense people are put in, as souls are put into those environments on purpose. Mm-hmm. I also sense that those environments can bring out a really unique thing in the children who were brought into it. And I see a lot of gifts coming from that, even though it sounds weird to think there's a gift in growing up in such drama. Tell me some of your thoughts about that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I would not be who I am today or serving in the way that I serve had I not had that foundation, if you will. What I understand after years and years of doing this work and thousands of transmissions or readings, the soul, which is truly who we are, the essence of who we are, it's energy and it never ends. The soul, and I like to simplify it, the soul goes, okay, I'm going to come in October 2nd, 1962, and this is what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose this mother and this geographical location, and there's a checklist. Now, obviously, I'm simplifying it and humanizing it. And the soul sits with other guiding souls, and some are ancestral and some are angelic, and together they come up with this plan, right, of where you'll be and who you choose as your birth parents and all of that. What is not part of that journey is how you will specifically fulfill the list, because we are beings with free will. Okay. Now, who I'm born to, I had the pre-choice. I can't change that, right? How I would have reacted or responded to early episodes in my life, that was all on me. And as a soul, we are here to evolve, to experience ourselves as a soul. And so when you make choices that are higher elevated, higher vibrational, you're aligning with your soul. When we go into the shadow side and we make choices that are, let's say, from our past or conditioned, that's the ego part of us, the familiar part of us. Most people know that part of themselves. Mm-hmm. I think we're getting better, but I don't think as many people know the soul side of themselves.
And I also wonder if there's such deep learning in situations like that it really activates in the children brought into these dysfunctional families. Does that activate the best of us? Does that, maybe as you're saying it, put out an opportunity that we can choose higher?
Absolutely.
It's such a contrast between the yuck and the good. It really stimulates a person to know, I don't want to be that. Mm-hmm. So therefore I'll be this. And then default of this is that it's higher order.
Absolutely. And as human beings, we must experience duality. We have to know good to know bad, and we have to know right to know wrong. So what our goal here is, though, is to transcend into unity, into oneness. And so where we begin to see the world, not as right or wrong or good or bad, but our start here is really duality. It has to be. We have to know both sides. This is where free will comes in. This is where choice comes in. I can see it being played out this way. I know what's ahead of me. I'm an intelligent person. And yet I'm not using free will. I'm using conditioning and familial beliefs. And so that's the part where we evolve. I believe the situations we get in our early life are the foundation and can create whoever we're here to be. But that happens by free will.
Yes, and I like that. And we're going to take a short break in just a second. But when we come back, I want to talk more about the work that you do because of these gifts. And what does that knowing of our soul essence, of our opportunities to choose higher, to reach for unity, how that all plays into how you guide and help people. So we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll hear more from Veronica Drake, here with me on Maximum Medicine. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. I'm Doc Martin. We're back, Maximum Medicine. I'm here with Veronica Drake. And Veronica, with your special gifts as being a psychic, and you're also a medium, tell me a little bit about that. What does it mean to be a medium?
So to be psychic means you're tapping into your own inner knowing, basically into your subconscious. And we can talk a little bit about how we define that. If you're working in a mediumship capacity, you're tapping into the spirit. That can be guides, deceased loved ones. It can be ancestors. So the difference is it comes from me within. If I'm psychic, mediumship, I'm bringing it all in. And I do combine both of them with my work. I've stopped distinguishing one from the other because I realize they're a hand in a glove. They just go together.
So tell me, when you have worked with clients, what does that information give you for them?
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sure about any of this journey. I was sure of one thing. I knew that I loved people, and I know that people were drawn to me my whole life. Like, I would go into a restaurant with my husband and the waitress would start telling me her story. And it became very evident to me that I just knew things about people. And we were sitting on the beach on vacation, and this woman walked down, and I said to my husband, she's going to stop. She's going to talk to me. Because, well, you're crazy. We don't know anybody here. Sure enough, she stopped, and I just started, all of this stuff came out. And she was there for a couple hours, and my husband goes, what just happened? I said, I connected with her. I started seeing things. And so then I began to ask, what am I going to do with that? Because quite frankly, it can be a pain in the neck to go to the mall, so you have to kind of think like, what am I going to do with that? And so I went to Life Coaching Academy, Spiritual Life Coaching Academy, and I became a spiritual life coach because I thought, well, I'll just talk to people. They like talking to me. And then it just morphed into, how did you know that, V, oh my God. And word of mouth just took off, and I can see who people are beyond their story, if you will. I can see into the nooks and crannies, if you will, of their life. No one can come to me with a secret. Thankfully, I'm a very integrous person, and I use your secrets, so-called secrets, to help you realize where growth is in your own life. When Spirit spoke to me and said, you're going to read past life energy, I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. That's stupid. What am I going to do with that? That's no relevance to this life. I'm a very practical person. So Spirit then carried me further and said, if somebody's ailing in this life, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, the roots are very typically not in this life. And I heard that and I thought, okay, prove it to me. And so I started taking on clients where I would look at their past lives. I would ask no information of them before I did their reading. I could see them I'm making this up now, I could see them in 1802 on the prairie, hanging the clothes out and having their husband get shot in the field and being a widow. And this person in today's life has trouble maintaining relationships. She doesn't trust. She feels abandoned. I didn't know any of that, but we look at that and we coordinate her journey forward and see how we can put closure to that part of her life. It's very fascinating.
That is fascinating. Well, in my shamanic training, we talk about the imprints in the energy field, and I'm very interested in those as they relate to a person's health. And that health can also be spiritual health. But how do you see past lives influencing your physicality and your physical health?
So just a very quick, I did a case study on a client who had for years and years severe neck pain. She had gone through everything she could possibly go through, to no avail. She was on these heavy medications, just was not herself. And I could see because I have this, I don't know how to describe it except like this. I can look at a body, a physical body, and I can almost, I can scan it. I start at the top and I go, oh, and it looks gray or sometimes infrared to me where there's dis-ease in the body. And I was drawn right to her throat chakra. And I said, do you have thyroid? She says, well, yes, I was diagnosed with thyroid, but that's controlled. I said, I don't see anything in the back of the neck. I don't see anything with your bones. And I got this image out the side of my eye where she was a male and she was hanged in a previous life. And so I'm like, okay, what's going on here? How is that a correlation? Well, it showed up as the root, the throat chakra, the hanging. And so what I do, which is very different than what shamans do, because as you know, shamans do soul retrieval sometimes. They go in and they bring the soul back. I kind of just have this conversation with that aspect of her or him. And I just say, okay, we see this is what happened, this is what played out. I can feel the energy after the hanging. I feel it cross over. I know it moves on. And I speak to the soul as if, okay, we're here now in 2022. Let's come on back. I'm paraphrasing what I do, but that's the essence of what I do. And the proof is, a couple weeks later, a couple months later, whatever it is, I inevitably get an email saying, I don't have any pain in my neck. I don't, now at best, I think we can only be 80 to 85% accurate. I mean, no one's 100% accurate, but I've had some phenomenal success with this. Phenomenal. I've seen cancers in the body before they actually became cancers in the body. Where they were prevented because of prevention checkups, where people would normally not do that. I see scar tissue in the body. I call it scar tissue. I'm not a medical doctor like yourself, but I see scar tissue. I can see when I have somebody that drowned in a past life, I look at their body in present time and it looks like scar tissue to me, and I get short of breath and I feel gurgly. And that indicates to me they drown in a past life. So my question to them then becomes, what is smothering you in this life? What's holding you down? What's keeping you from breathing fully? It becomes this incredible revelation that they weren't even cognizant of.
It's interesting. Beyond soul retrieval, another thing that we're trained to do is look for the imprints in the energy field, just as you're seeing the gray or the scar tissue or something going around the neck. And those imprints can be crystallized, firm formed imprints, or they can be very fluid. And to pull those out. And what I'm hearing you say is you're able to bring that metaphor or that mythic journey to the person and give them a context and a structure with which to analyze, when in effect, then they're working through the imprint through your conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm. And
That's really great.
we're a team. I mean, I take my work very seriously as you do, and we're a team, and we're here for the greater good. And that is not only your evolution of your soul, because when your soul evolves, the collective evolves. And isn't that why we're all here?
Yeah, that's true. So besides your personal client work, what other things do you do? What other offerings in your service?
I have a membership called Going Within. It's a very small activate, we channel, and these are women, ordinary everyday women like I am, and they are learning how to open up psychically, how to see their souls. These are women that come from painful stories, losing children, losing loved ones, just and the vulnerability is just so touching, and to watch them actually connect and make the connection with their loved ones and something bigger. I mean, so Going Within, I'm very proud of that. Starting in September, I'll be launching the Psychic Development Academy, where I'm taking away anything that's woo woo, anything that's carnival like, and I'm putting it front and center of how mainstream psychicness is. And I'm teaching it. And I'm very proud of the work that I'm doing with this Psychic Development Academy. And I think we're going to see a whole new breed of psychics come out.
Well, that's one thing that doing my shamanic training, I'm trained as a scientist and then a physician. I never thought I had intuitive ability. Mm. And the more we did these shamanic trainings, which were to open up to the unseen world, to open up to, okay, wait a second, your eye is drawn to that blue jay. Why? What's the feeling you're getting? And then start to really honor that sort of little tickle. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you're saying is the same thing. Everybody has that power.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you, what I've been told by spirit, by source, we are a speck, a spark, a fleck of what created us, right? So we are creators in every sense of the word. I've had children. I've created, right? Like, we're creators. We create art. We create intention. We're creators. So we're a spark of that. And what happens is, until a child is about 7 years old, they are very open and receptive. They're back and they're forth. And then guess what? We go into our story and, oh, don't do that. Or that's so cute, little friend. And our stories leave residue all over us. I mean, our story, I lived in my story for 40 years, for God's sake. I was, always trying to do this, but, until I embraced the story and I found the leverage in the story to step out of the depth of self-pity, victimhood. And here's
that's really an important concept. And I just wrote a book called Maximize Your Healing Power. It's coming out next spring. And one of the things that I see in my patients over and over is the jail that they put themselves in with their definition of themselves as this diagnosis, as this disease, as this limit. And to really get them to see that they've built those jail cells, and to recognize that they're more and they have the power to break out of that jail cell. So I see that all the time in people's health, and the goodies people can get. You get some goodies if you've got 5 more diagnoses than your neighbor.
Oh,
you know, and
I hear that. I hear that. You know, years ago when I first started speaking, I was doing a live event and I was up on the stage and I'd come down off the stage and, you know, people are talking to me and all of a sudden out the corner of my eye, I could see this woman. I mean, she was beelining towards me. I thought, I'm going to get tackled. I'm going to go. She came up to me, she stuck her hand out and she said, "Hi, I'm Betty, the ex-mayor of so-and-so. You know, the one that embezzled the money? I took the money, but I paid the money back and I spent my time in jail." And she like had diarrhea all over me about her story. And she says to me, God love her, she catches her breath. And the last thing she says to me, "You're a spiritual coach. Can you help me find the man of my dreams?" And I looked at her and I'm a little bit of I have a weird sense of humor. And I looked at her and I said,
and you're not shy.
yeah, when I'm not shy. And I looked at her and I said, "Honey," now I'm holding her hand, you know, we're bonded, we're connected. And I'm holding her hand and I said, "You're going to need a new opening line." You just can't lead with that story. She said, "What story?" She didn't even realize that she wears and opens up life with that story. Now that's so blatant, right? But we're all doing it. We're all doing it.
Yep. And we're all conditioned to believe a certain set of beliefs. And that's the other thing I often say to patients who are willing to hear, "Well, you know, this, I am this. And I say, who says? Who made that rule?
Oh,
You know, anyway, step out, be bigger.
you become what you think you are. It's so true. I remember hearing the phrase, "Your thoughts create your reality." Wayne Dyer was my mentor, right? And I remember hearing that phrase and I thought, well, that's a little cheesy, like in the beginning of my journey. And that's a little cheesy. It's the only thing, in my opinion, that you must grasp initially out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts create your reality. You don't like what's happening in your life. Are you in love with your thoughts? You can't be if you don't like what's happening in your life. So,
Right.
I get very passionate, as you can tell.
Everybody, I like it. Everybody, I'm here with Veronica Drake, V, and we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to take in some callers and watch V do her magic and watch how she can help people bring forward. Ooh, we'll be right back.
All right, you're good.
All right, V. So I'll open it up again and then I'll turn it over to you. And then Jess, will you be our first caller, please?
I will. I do have a question. Do you want
Sure.
do you want me to ask a specific question or not?
Whatever's on your heart, whatever's in your mind, let's make believe this is a session. You're having a
Okay.
session with me.
Okay.
And then V, do you want to physically see Jessica? Does it matter?
Does not matter because I work internationally. I don't need, you know, energy's energy. I don't really need to see you, no.
All right. Micah, will you count us back in?
Yes, of course. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm Doc Martin, Maximum Medicine, here with V, and she is going to work her magic. And we have a caller calling in, Jessica. Producer, do we have Jessica on the line?
Hi, I'm here.
Jessica, go ahead. How can V help you?
I guess I just have a general question / statement, and then you can tell me what happens from there.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm very intuitive, and at the same time, I have no idea what to do with it.
So, Jessica, it is?
Yep.
So, Jessica, when you get something new, like a new iPhone, are you the kind of person that looks at it visually, starts hitting the buttons, and then goes right for the manual?
No, I hate manuals. I just already know how to use it.
Okay. So, because therein is a little bit of what's happening, because image wise, I saw you stepping forward, stepping into it. You were taking a step. And when you stepped into it, your foot went into a mud or quicksand and you began to go under. So here's where you're missing the boat with that. You need to unite left brain, right brain, because people and that is the psychic part of us and the analytical part of us. People think that we need to just be psychic, and by the way, it's synonymous with intuitive. They think they need to be just psychic. You need to unite both sides of your brains. You need to honor both parts, because you'll get a hunch, right? You just know things. You don't know why you know them, but you know them. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly.
And so maybe you'll act on it, maybe you won't. But it would be in your best interest to engage your analytic brain once you get a hit, and then make sure that what you're doing is in alignment with your highest and greatest good. Does that make sense? Because you can get a hit, and yes, it's the right thing to do, but your analytical side of you might take you a more direct route, if you will, than the psychic part of it.
That makes sense. Like the
Okay.
pieces that are like, that describes kind of how I feel sometimes, that those two are at odds with each other.
Yeah. And really, here's the thing, you can trust it. And here's a tip for you. The intuitive part of us, which is the soul speaking to us, will be very subtle and very soft. It'll be a hunch. It'll be a little, hey, Jessica, you should. Ego, the other side, will be like, Jessica, you know what's going to happen if you do that. You've been there. You're going to be, and it'll loop you into familiar territorial thoughts, where intuition will be like, I don't know where that came from. So there's a little benchmark for you, guidepost, if you will.
I love that.
Is there anything else that we can help you with?
That was very helpful for me, actually. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So I'd like to go a little deeper, if you would, V. And I know that you told me how oftentimes you see something in the body that can bring forth either a help about understanding the soul journey or something. Is there something for Jessica that she should pay attention to, or an awareness for her?
Jessica, very quickly, I saw a past life, and this is how it happens for me. You were a shepherd boy. You were a young boy. You were a shepherd. You were herding the sheep. You are this immense animal lover in that life. You felt most at home with animals. You loved quiet and solitude. And it really, I don't know if it shows up for you as clearly in this life, but the animals respond to you. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I love both of those things in this life.
So when I see the shepherd, right, at the top of the hill, leading the sheep, so to speak, I will also tell you that you are a leader. You're not a traditional leader in any sense of the word. You are a compassionate, heartfelt, bring the people in, be the people, be about the people, and lead the people. And you don't even like the word leader, I would suspect.
That's very true. I'm very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah. So now in that life as a shepherd, you didn't come to any tragic end, you didn't go on to be Jesus. People think when I do past lives, like, was I Jesus in that life? Was I Cleopatra? Mostly, no, we're not famous, look at how many of us are famous in this life. What's relevant there is you have this compassion for the animal community. And that may take you somewhere in terms of your work moving forward. Not anytime soon. You may find yourself on a board of directors helping a no-kill shelter. You may find yourself being an advocate for animal rights. This is all part of your soul plan.
The one thing that struck me, and V, maybe you could comment more about this, is her love of, I saw the mountain. She was hiking up the mountain with the sheep and then sitting there and looking over the vista. And you said solitude. And I just felt the nature and the quiet and the beauty. Is there something in there of benefit for Jess?
Mhm. Well, that speaks to me as caring about the earth, the land. You might be a conservationist. You might look at the ecology of the world, the health of the world, and you may find yourself drawn to helping countries that don't have it like we have it here in the U.S. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, it is. I've on kind of a weird global huge scale, I always feel like I have the ability as one human to make a huge healing impact on the earth.
Mhm. The way that you'll do that is never leave your connection with the earth.
Mhm.
Mama
That's the
Earth.
hint I was getting, is
Mama.
that strong connection to nature.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mama Earth is our savior. It's just the way I feel. So it was lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Same.
I love what you brought up, V. Jessica, thank you so much, because it helped bring up so many important things for yourself. But I think that's a point very important for everybody. Our connection to the earth, and I mean that absolutely literally, molecularly, minerals, metals, and ores, our energetic connections. If we don't restore those, and if you have them already, maintain them, that is where our salvation and our evolution lies.
I agree 100%. If you think about it, primitive man, when we first came into a body, right? What sustained us? What gave us life? Where did we eat from? Where did we, what warmed us? Earth, Mama Earth. Like if we lose everything and we have Mama Earth, we're good. We're good. Keep her.
Jess, any other questions before we let you go?
I don't think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Producer, we're going to skip the break and move to, do we have another caller on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, and tell me, who are you and how can V help you?
My name is Anna.
Hello, Anna.
Hi. I was just listening, and basically what Jessica asked and what she talked about really resonated with me. So I guess I would like to kind of like ask something complimentary.
Sure, that'd be great.
I can relate to being very intuitive, but sometimes I feel like it's either very out of control, like it's enhanced, and sometimes like it's not at all. How do you keep it consistent
Mm-hmm.
or in control?
First of all, you're an empath. You feel things. You know how when we walk in the room and you feel the vibe of the room, you're super heightened to energy. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
And it can deplete you emotionally, physically. You need to really be careful about who you keep in your inner circle. I just feel the need to tell you that. Keeping a consistent, I just, the image I got was like this, because I get metaphors and I get images. You know how like when we're watching a movie on our computer and our connection buffers, it goes in and out. I get a sense that that's what's happening with your intuition. It buffers. You're good and and then boom, there's a disconnect, and it's good and it's good. I would suggest, via spirit sharing this with me, that you do exercises to strengthen your intuition, to strengthen your psychic ability. Like the physical muscles in the body, you strengthen them by practicing repetitiously with them. So get yourself some spiritual, intuitive exercises. You can do something as simple if you're standing waiting for an elevator and there's several cars. Intuit which elevator car is going to show up first. Here's a big one. Observe. Become the observer. Watch people. Focus on people and begin to tell a story about them. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, because what you're doing is you're exercising your subconscious. You're exercising that part of the brain where all of the psychic abilities live. And so you're getting stronger and stronger. They're two simple things that you can do. And the other thing, I'm laughing because I always say I don't shrink heads. I don't boil chicken bones. I'm a very practical, I love my grandsons. I'm a very practical woman. And here I sit holding a crystal ball. So let me just tell you, looking into this crystal ball is what we call scrying. Okay. So this is a great form. I don't want to say substitution, but a great addition maybe, or in addition to meditation. When you get something that's, I don't know how everybody can see it, but you can see there's little formations in there. And if you can just sit with this and you can just begin to focus and stare on this, this will come alive. Well, because it is alive, this will pop out. You will begin to calm the critical mind down, and your intuition will kick in, and you'll begin to hear things from your intuitive self, subtle things. Like if something's weighing on your mind, sit down, focus. You can do this with the clouds, and you'll begin to get guidance. Practice that stuff. Does that help?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it's very funny because when I was little, my brother and I would pretend to be able to use the Force, like in Star Wars. And we would practice things like, oh, let's see if we can guess what this car is going to be when it shows up and things like that.
Perfect. You've been doing it all along.
So I have something to add, Anna. One thing that you said early and V mentioned, being an empath, when I look at that energetically, you're allowing your energy field to resonate with everything around you. But when you do that, your boundaries blur. That gives you your gifts of intuition, but that also is where your boundaries blur and your power can drain. So that could be a depletion point. So I think there's something to be said for choosing when you open, and then be very clear to close, to seal your energetic boundaries. And even something when you are drained because you're in a situation and you're taking everything in, maybe even having a way to wash yourself. And I mean that a little literally, clear yourself of the stuff. Sometimes having a small bowl, couple of drops of an essential oil, rose, orange, and just putting your fingers in, just thinking, because I think the depletion is a critical thing to guard your power, because as an empath, that beauty that you have of feeling everybody, of touching everybody, of resonating, gives you your amazing possibilities of seeing, but then you can lose all your power. So I think there's something to be said about the afterwards, sealing it back up, clearing away the stuff that's stuck on you to recenter, regain, restore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Sometimes it definitely feels like the world gets very loud.
That was beautiful. And it was funny because I kept hearing rose water. I keep a misting bottle, and I just kind of do a little this. I hit my plants, I hit everything, and I mist, and I just let it flow out. Very important to do. Very important to do.
And I think the awareness of the boundary of what's you and what's them, being very aware. And that also prevents, how many of us have opened up to somebody we really want to like us and they're toxic? So you may even open up in a situation, not realize how toxic it is. So that awareness, that a few minutes a day of that awareness of what's you and what's other, is a very important thing to keep alive.
Anna, I'm also getting a feeling that you carry the weight of the world on your shoulders at times. Were you, either now or as a child, having a big responsibility early on?
Yeah, pretty much. I was pretty much in charge of my little brother since I was very
I
little.
knew that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep, because the past life I see here, you were a leader. I'm going to use the word royal, a royal leader, and everybody deferred to you. You know, tell us what to do, lead us out of the battle. You know, get us there, and it was like all of this, like, and one of the things.
Heavy,
What's that?
heavy,
Heavy.
heavy.
Very heavy energy. Like I would just like kind of, just kind of do a little bit of this, and you were such a great leader. And to back up what Doc Martin said, you were such a great leader that people took and took and took from you, and it ultimately depleted you. By chance, in this lifetime, do you have any lower stomach issues or abdomen issues? Maybe I'm drawn to your stomach, like your small intestines, your colon. You have any digestive issues?
Yeah, a little bit. And I had gallbladder surgery when I was very young.
Okay, because I can see in that life where you were the royalty, the leader, you actually had spots of cancer in your pancreas liver area. I mean, back in that time, they didn't know that's what it was, but you just got very sick, very sick, very sick. And ultimately that's was your demise.
So here, Anna, is something interesting from a medical point of view. What many people don't know is that the hormones and the neural circuits in the gut use all of the same neurochemistry as those for our moods. So any anxiety, depression, worries, things churning around often show up in the gut. So that is another way to be aware of when things are overloaded, and to just be sort of a marker to say, okay, whoa, I'm taking in too much. I need to regroup and recenter.
Mm-hmm. And cedar is your friend.
I
Whether
love cedar.
Yep, find a cedar tree, burn cedar, get a cedar essential oil. Cedar is your friend.
And
That's great.
cedar, shamanically, cedar is a powerhouse of a spiritual. And when you think of the trees, some of the oldest trees in the world are the are you getting goosebumps? Are the cedars.
I
And
love
you
my cedars.
and if you live in the Northwest, you just have to drive through all those firs and oh yeah. So go spend time. Yeah, I totally get that. It gave me goosebumps.
Love it. And Anna, if you're questioning something, the answer is yes, it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I appreciate it. And I definitely feel all my emotions in my stomach all the time.
Wonderful. Well, I hope this
Thank
was.
you so much. Thank you guys for being willing to open to let V read you and offer her help. And everybody, I'm here with Veronica Drake. V, tell everybody how they can find you and work with you.
I've made a word up. It's called Googleable. I'm Googleable. Seriously, you can Google me and find me, but veronicadrake.com is just about it everywhere. I have a YouTube channel. I'm growing educationally. I'm constantly working on myself, and I'm constantly sharing with my audience. And I'm all about the collective and healing and hugging.
Is that like love? If you're Googleable, does that make you lovable?
I would sure hope so. I would sure hope so.
Veronica, anything else to leave with our listeners before we close?
I want to tell you that I feel honored and privileged to be here. I think what you're doing in the world, Doc Martin, is just amazing. And people like us, we need to connect, and we need to go out and help the collective learn about this stuff. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And I feel just as you do that helping one person expand and be more blows us up to immense abilities. And I'm all about that. So thank you so much for being here. Jessica and Anna, thank you for helping. Micah, thank you for producing. And I'll be back next month. Nice to have you here. Doc Martin on Maximum Medicine. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You've been listening to Maximum Medicine Radio with Doc Martin. Tune in next time while the doc talks health, spirituality, and the impact your beliefs have on every part of who you are, body and soul. Doc Martin unpacks the challenges we face as human beings and teaches callers to open the door between the scientific and the mystical. To learn more about Doc Martin and Maximum Medicine, visit www.sharonmartinmd.com.